Welcome to the Business Spotlight Series. My name is Steve Chiama, and I'm the franchise owner for Action Coach here in Fairfax, Virginia. I'm your host today of the Business Spotlight podcast. And today I have the pleasure to introduce Mary Bell Carlson, the president of Financial Behavior Keynote Group, as my guest. Today we're going to talk about Mary's business, her journey into business ownership, some of the challenges, best practices, and share a peek into what it's really like to own, build, and operate a business. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when a new show like this drops. Mary, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here today. And please, if you would, share a little bit about who you are and about your business, if you would.
You bet. Thanks for having me on, Stephen. This is really fun to be able to come and talk about a business. I'll be honest, I've been a serial entrepreneur my whole life. I watched my dad. I grew up in West Texas where there's only oil and gas and a few cattle. The cattle actually outnumber the people out there. And he was an independent oil well consultant growing up.
Mhm.
And you'll probably hear that Texas accent come out a little bit. But I remember he worked hard. He was gone. I remember one year where I'm the oldest of six. My mother said he was gone 265 days out of 365 in a single year. And I knew that entrepreneurship was work. In fact, my mom went back as a school teacher so we would have health insurance. So this is the environment I grew up in, right? Is just that grit, hardworking entrepreneur. And he was always a small business owner, never grew it to be a large amount. So that kind of had always been in the back of my mind. I remember I came to DC after finishing my graduate work. I had worked on Capitol Hill. I served as a lobbyist for a financial planning association. And then I got my certified financial planner designation. And when I was doing some lobbying work, they would not count it. So I went and did some work experience and I did not love wealth management. I had got my degree in financial planning, but I was like, I'm not feeling it. I want to do
Mhm.
something else. And one day I got this email that came across my desk and it said, go teach the military personal finance in Europe. And my eyes,
Mhm.
I'm mid 20s at this point, right? I just light up, get so excited. And I called my entrepreneur dad and said, hey, what if I became a contractor and went overseas for 3 months at a time to go teach these principles in Europe? He goes, that's a horrible idea. You have, because he had come from no health insurance, no benefits. Like he knew that
Mhm.
world. And I didn't like that answer. So
Mhm.
I ended up calling my professor back from my master's program and I said, what do you think? And he said, I think that's a great idea. And I know somebody in the Pentagon. Well, long story short, he sure did know somebody in the Pentagon. He actually
Mhm.
ran the Office of Financial Education that was inside the Pentagon. Now, this would have been the global war on terror, 2008, 2010 time frame. And I'm sitting in my office one day. So we chatted for a while. I sent him my resume and said, well, I don't think I'll take the contract position, but if something opens up, let me know. So pause right there. If anyone's beginning in their career or as a student, that's a really important thing to remember is opportunity. I didn't ask for a
Mhm.
job, but I asked for an opportunity.
Mhm.
And so when that opportunity arose 2 days later, I'm literally sitting in my little cube in Tyson's Corner of Virginia, and I'm bored out of my mind. It's the day after tax season. I'm exhausted and I don't love what I'm doing. And I get a call and it says, hey, this is so and so from the Pentagon. Can you be here in 2 days? And I
Mhm.
said, for what? I had
Mhm.
no idea. Long story short, I ended up becoming a contractor, and it was inside the Pentagon for that Office of Financial Education. And I spent 3 years traveling the world giving speeches to military service providers. So that
Oh, okay.
started actually both my speaking career as well as my entrance into that.
Yeah.
Moving forward, I ended up going to Kansas State and working on a military installation and writing my dissertation during my PhD on the financial behavior of soldiers before and after deployment. Uh, Ended up finishing that, came back to DC, worked for local government
Mhm.
association for some time,
Mhm.
and then started out on my own. So I have been doing my own entrepreneurial work since I really got married 10 years ago. My husband works for government, kind of carried that benefit side, and I said, I want to go try something new in
Mhm.
this entrepreneur world. And so I am on my fifth business. It is not pretty. In fact, it's kind of like legislation. You don't want to watch the sausage being made, but everyone
Yeah.
likes the after. Well, sometimes we like the after effect on that. But at
Yeah.
least on the business side, it's not pretty. So, any of you that are out there in those early years know entrepreneurs often start and stop businesses to find the right one. And I
Yeah.
am totally a sign of that. And so, there were a lot of businesses I tried out and totally went, I would say my accountant called it a hobby loss more than a legit business.
Yeah.
And then 4 years ago, I was speaking, I had gone back into academia, kind of doing some adjunct. And four of us came together and I said, what do you guys want to do more of? And they said, speaking and consulting. And I said, well, let's do it together. We all
Mm.
come out of financial services. And I said, let's just do it together. And so, sure enough, we created Financial Behavior Keynote Group. And I'll talk more about the journey along the way because it wasn't just like we put a sign in the ground and everyone showed up. It's not a build it and they will come approach. It is a build it and work your tail off. And eventually, if it's got legs,
Yeah.
it'll run.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I got into it. So it's a very windy road, but it's been a
Yeah.
fun adventure. And every experience I've had has really built on the next to get me where I'm at today.
You feel like you've learned a few things along the way?
You know, speaking of my father, I will relate to him quite a bit. I remember asking him, I was in my master's program, and in my master's program, I learned, so I was in financial planning. So we learned about taxes, retirement, investments, insurance, all the things that everyone needs to know about, but you never get taught about, right?
Right.
Well, I remember leaving my master's degree and thinking, that's why I came to DC because I felt like the world needs to hear this. We'll start in the nation's capital and start education, right? That was my drive. I remember calling my dad one day and saying, "Hey, Dad, how did you learn about this stuff?" And he goes, "Oh, honey, that's called the School of Hard Knocks."
Hmm.
And so I think we've all gone through that school, and mine
Uh-huh.
may look different than your hard knocks, but that is really where you learn a lot.
Yeah.
There is definitely good things in education, but you're still going to learn a lot from life, and it will
There's a
teach.
lot. There's a lot left out of the education process, and that's one of them.
Yep, for
Awesome.
sure.
Awesome. I'm going to go into a little bit of context. A lot of people ask questions about borrowing money at the very, very beginning or getting partners. Let's talk a little bit about that. You're not a solo owner. You've got some partners here, but are there outside investors or is it just the four of you? How is this structured?
Oh, really good question. I'm glad you bring it up. I actually am a solo owner, and
Ah,
the reason I am a solo owner is because one of those five businesses that did not make, I did have a partner.
mm-hmm.
And I figured out how hard partnerships are.
Can be,
They
yeah.
can be very tricky and they may be easy to set up and then a road like it varies for everyone, but I really learned early on. And by the way, no hard feelings from either of us in terms of the
Mhm.
partnership. We ended well. Luckily, nothing catastrophic. Again, it was a hobby loss, like the accountant said. So,
Mhm.
like, no big loss. I know there's a lot of other people who have really bad experiences with partnership. But because of that experience, just tangling things together and then untangling them afterwards for me was such a problem. Like it was so much difficulty to untangle that. And we were just an LLC partnership. So nothing, no corporation, no S corp, nothing heavier. And so when I started this business, frankly, the other three didn't have the time or money to
Ah,
really do it. And it was really a more a services base. So there wasn't a lot of capital I needed up front. And so it was really going to be the sweat equity. And
mm.
so a few of them put in some sweat equity along with me, but it was never set up to be a partnership because of that from the past. And so to this day, I continue to be a single member LLC. We're actually transitioning right now to an S Corp just
Uh-huh.
because for tax reasons.
Yeah.
We have grown to become in that space. But and that this may not be everyone's answer, but for me, that was really important to maintain it. And I can't tell you how many times, Stephen, over the last 4 years that I've actually told out loud my husband and someone who I do treat as more like a board member. I talked to her about a lot of things and I said, "Oh my goodness, I'm so glad
Yeah.
that it just has simplified a lot of complex things." And to be honest, those four people that started with me Only one has really stayed on as a true partner in
Uh-huh.
that.
Hmm.
The other two have just had life demands that have taken them other directions. And of the four or the three, two of them still only remain. So I think that's something to know if you're going into a partnership is it may look really good right now, but life happens to everyone. And so what's going to happen as life changes and what are
Hmm.
they going to offer? Sometimes they can offer money, sometimes they can offer time,
Yep.
sometimes they can offer both. But just know, just because they can offer time now doesn't mean they're going to be able to offer that same amount of time or capital in the future.
Very
So
good. Yeah. And partnership agreements along with that.
yes, and it just gets complex. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not bad or good, it's complexity. And for me, that was what I needed. This was just kind of testing the waters to see if we even had a legitimate business. And so I needed to find out if it was going to have legs and become something besides the hobby loss, and it has. But man, as we've upped it, we just get more and more complex, and partnerships definitely get more complex than single
Yeah.
member.
And it doesn't get more simple.
No, no, the other direction.
It will not get more simple. Yeah,
No.
exactly. Exactly. Let's talk a little bit about customers. Who do
Okay.
you serve best? Who do you target? Who are you looking for?
Oh, really good and complicated question. This should be
Mm.
an easy question for most
Uh-huh.
people, by the way.
Hmm.
I do not do things easy, though, I have found. So, our primary clientele, we are a speaking agency, first and foremost. And I represent a small curated list of speakers who speak on the topic of financial behavior, hence the name, right?
Hmm.
So, our primary clients would be event planners
Hmm.
because that's who's hiring them at the end of the day. But we have found that often event planners, at least in the financial services industry, often will take recommendations from financial planners or
Hmm.
financial advisors.
Hmm.
We also come out of that space. And so we wanted to give education. So we have a speaking agency, we have an education platform, which is
Hmm.
really suited to financial
Hmm.
advisors, which helps them get to know us to refer us to the event planner.
Yep, good.
And then what was interesting when I started this business 4 years ago, again, four of
Hmm.
us, just seeing if it would stick.
Hmm.
After the first year, I signed 32 speakers in a single year. Now, what I did at that point, like I just was looking for anybody, right? Like
Hmm.
if you speak on this topic, great, come on to me. What
Hmm.
I didn't know in that adding those is the complexity it added. So I went from the four to the 32, and there was lots of personalities, lots of demands, and I became quickly a speaker's bureau, and I did
Hmm.
not want to be that.
Hmm.
So what happened in the third year is I started what my third leg of the business is, and that's a community.
Hmm.
I'm a big, like my mentality, Stephen, and I think this is similar to what you're doing, is you're not alone. As a speaker, you can feel very alone. As a business owner, you can feel very alone, just hustling every day behind your computer screen,
Right.
grinding it out. And I don't work well that way. I don't work well in this, but I wanted to stay home. I'm also a mother of three young children, and it was very important for me to stay home. And
Hmm.
that was something I had wanted to do. And so in that, I thought, you know what? Let's band together.
Hmm.
And I'm a big believer in blue ocean. I think
Hmm.
there is enough out there for all
Hmm.
if we share it. And that mentality has really resonated into rising tides lift all boats.
Hmm.
And that's the same for us is your speaking will help my speaking, which will help someone else's speaking because
Yep.
we can refer and change and all kinds of things. So the third year, I actually started a community because we were on a Slack channel with 32 speakers, and that was a mess. And so I thought, you know, we need a real place where we can store materials, share data,
Yes.
et cetera, et cetera. And so we started that last year, which we lost half of the speakers I was representing. Turned out to be a good thing. And so I would also mention there that anytime you feel like, oh no, I'm going to lose something, you may be losing it in the short term, but in the long run, it's a better play
Hmm.
because you're going to keep the people that are like-minded and
Right.
that are going to get you to the next level.
Yeah.
And so we kind of expand and contract quite a bit. We started the community. It's actually now 35. So I've not only surpassed the number, but I've added 35 plus the speakers I represent. So this is a long way to answer your question, but that's why we have three different audiences: event planners, financial advisors, and then speakers. So we do help other speakers and
Got it.
open up that for community.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm going to play a little bit with that.
Okay, jump in.
Business owners in the beginning wear an awful lot of hats.
Yes.
The ones who start having fun are the ones who get rid of a few hats along the way. Which hats are you wearing now, and which hats are you working to get rid of?
Well, great question, because I'm in the middle of taking some off right now as we speak.
Hmm.
Actually, just a week ago, Stephen, so let me kind of go back and just mention the reason for me wanting to start the business is wanting to balance that personal life and professional life. It's
Hmm.
been very important that I'm home with my youngest just turned 5, so she's still in preschool, all the way up to 10, and I just really have always wanted that since a young age. And so, in order to do that, the business really needed to be a home-based business.
Hmm.
Now, number two, just because you have a home-based business doesn't mean you're spending your time with your kids, because often
Oh,
you're in
yeah.
your office working 10 times what you would have worked in a corporate setting.
Yeah.
And so I have really had to balance, and balance is probably not even a word you want to use. I have screwed up enough to know and been out of whack so much that it has
Hmm.
impacted my family.
Hmm.
And that just happened about a week ago to where there's a lot of internal changes taking place. I'm losing in fact, one really key employee, and a second one is leaving in January that have been my backbone.
Hmm.
And so it's been really important. And a week ago, I sat down with my husband. I said, I can't sustain this. Like, I know from the outside, people are like, oh, yeah, that looks great. It's kind of that Instagram effect where
Hmm.
everything's all rosy and pretty and clean. And yet
Hmm.
behind the scenes, it's a stinking mess. And so I wouldn't say we're a mess, but I definitely think that behind the scenes, I was breaking because I
Hmm.
had no more time to give.
Hmm.
My speakers needed time, my clients needed time, the
Hmm.
kids needed time. And so we really went back and said, where's the rent? We looked at the financials. And of the 31 speakers we represented, a third of them brought in any income. And of that, very few even were making controllable income. So we really found where our income stream was coming from. And it
Good
actually just came
analysis.
from a very small component. And
Hmm.
so my business advisor said, why are you representing this many? Is this what you want? And it kind of put my back against the wall. And I was like, you're right. I don't know why I'm
Hmm.
doing this. You know, when you're on that treadmill and you're just running as hard and as fast as you can, and sometimes you just have to get off the treadmill and let it run. Like, stop doing what you're doing and figure out why. And so I sat down with my husband. I said, I think I got to quit. I think I need to stop trying to be all things to all people.
Ah, very good. Very good.
And I really need to hone in of who am I? And I
Yeah.
am a speaking agent. And
Yeah.
so what that means is I am not going to have hundreds of speakers you can pick from. Those are speaker bureaus and that you go find them and that is
Yeah.
great. That's what we call in the financial services world brokers. So they do
Yes.
a lot of transactions.
Yes.
I am relationship. And so I
Good.
am really looking for speakers who already have a lot of demand and are already charging high enough fees that there is a profit margin, which is important for
Oh,
business owners to
details.
know. And so we really looked hard at that, and we're actually in the middle of a second call, and I'm looking at what can I maintain about 10 to 15 speakers right now versus the 30 that I had been carrying. And so it's a lot of contract, expand. And I'm feeling very positive. In fact, I've talked to over half of them. And everyone said it totally makes sense. Like
Mhm.
no one has been, I was so worried people were going to be offended and I had to say no to people. And it's hard for me to say that. Not the least. In fact, if anything, it's been very supportive and from business owner to business owner. A lot of times people understand. And if they don't, it makes sense why we're doing those things. I would say for me, as I have gained more clarity around what I do and who I am, it's been helpful for me to set a standard to say, this
Very
is what I
good.
expect of you. And this is the
Yeah.
first year out of four that I've been able to come back and say, here's my three expectations.
Good.
A, B, and C. And no one has balked at it. Now people have said, "Hey, that just doesn't fit with my what I want to do, my goal and my vision."
Yeah.
And we've kept the door open and said, "Sure, maybe down the road, if not, we wish you well," right? But I think that's been an important thing for me is back off, not trying to do all those things and say, "What do I expect of you?"
Hmm.
as a partner in this, right? A
Hmm.
partner or a contractor. What do I
Hmm.
expect of you? And
Hmm.
so there's a lot of learning still happening.
You're you're following a nice lab procedure.
Textbook is what you're saying.
Experiment until you find what works right. Good,
Yeah,
good,
yes.
good, good. What does the future look like? When you
Good
look
question.
out 5, 10 years, where do you want this to be?
I will tell you, when I started this 4 years ago, I was throwing spaghetti at the wall to see if this thing
Hmm.
would even stick, right? Like
Hmm.
I had no idea it would even be what it is four
Hmm.
years later. So I
Hmm.
think in some ways it's hard for me to predict that. What I want it to always be is a speaking agency
Hmm.
that does white glove service for some of the top speakers in
Hmm.
financial services and beyond.
Hmm.
Because these topics, I think one of the things I have written goes back to my master's degree that I told you. Everyone needs to know these principles. And so we
Yes.
really want to bring this financial, and it's not how to do your finances. Let me make that little distinction too. It's really about behavior. It's the psychology of money, how that interplays in your relationships. That affects people worldwide. I don't
Hmm.
care if you're on the US dollar or US tax system or the English, it doesn't matter where
No.
you're at. It matters how money plays a role in your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And so to me, that is the why I am doing this. And that's where I want to expand. I want to be a global company that puts some of the best names and thought leaders, really thought
Hmm.
leadership in this space on
Hmm.
stages all over the world. Um, Now, how are we going to get there? I have learned after having a really good financial manager that a lot of these decisions need to be based on what some of the finances are saying. So
Hmm.
I'm a very much a visionary and I think
Hmm.
very high level, very strategic, and I float in the clouds and I don't let the details drag me down. My financial manager is the realist of the two of
Yeah.
us, right? And
Hmm.
she
Hmm.
comes back and says, "Great. If you
Hmm.
want to keep doing this business, you better change this now or you
Hmm.
won't have a business." And
Hmm.
so I think for me, I have found I need the yin and the yang. I
Hmm.
need someone to pull me out of the clouds
Hmm.
every once in a while. And just like she did recently with these speakers and say, you make the choice, but this is where it's going. And
Hmm.
so to me, those decisions have really come from a sheer fact, where's the money coming in? Where's it going out? And how
Hmm.
do we get where we want to go with that?
Yep.
So it's more my heart leads, but I've got to have the logic that comes along
Oh,
with it. Like
yes.
this has to make sense for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would expect that from somebody with a financial focus.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Details. Let's play a little bit about that. You've gone into this business, you've put an awful lot of effort into this business, you've learned a lot of things.
Mhm.
What do you hope that will do for you personally? Where are you going for this? There's a why question under this.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. The deeper answer, the onion, I call it, the inside of the
Hmm.
onion layer, is I really feel blessed to
Hmm.
know the knowledge I've been given, clear
Hmm.
through a PhD level in financial planning. And
Hmm.
I know that's a gift, and I
Hmm.
know that so many people need knowledge,
Hmm.
specifically on finances. And that has been my why. I just realized, so I had started one of my failed businesses, if we can talk about failures too.
Hmm. Yeah.
One of my failed businesses was I thought, well, I'm a PhD. I've got all these accolades, I've got these designations. I should be an influencer and I should put myself out there as chief financial mom. And in all sincerity, I remember holding my baby girl, nursing my very first one, and thinking, like scrolling, doing the death scroll, right? And realizing how much moms get sold to. Like that is
Yes.
a demographic that they are just honed in on to sell you crap.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me mad,
Mm-hmm.
really. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where that idea of I've got to start a business to teach people don't get sucked into this,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't need all the things.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried it for about 5 years with just a little blog here and there and this. And I realized people don't care about my accolades. They don't
Mm-hmm.
care about how many credentials I have behind my name and how
Right.
much I know. People care that you care and how they feel, how you make them feel. And I will
Bingo.
not take credit for that. That's actually Maya Angelou who has said that much more beautifully than I am. But I think that was what was more important to me. And I never felt like I was in my own skin in the
Mm-hmm.
influencer space. I had too much academia ingrained in me to be an influencer that didn't feel substantive.
Ah, good.
And
Okay.
so part of me morphing into financial or creating financial behavior keynote group is I knew a lot of really smart people. And I've
Mm-hmm.
known a lot of some of the top experts in this space, and we're
Mm-hmm.
all just individually doing our thing. And so, my thought and hope for this is as we band together
Mm.
as a team, I can't go to all the places by myself and get on all the stages.
Right.
But we can,
Yes.
right? And so that is my why is I want to get this messaging out to the world, but it's not my messaging. I don't own it. And I get to work with some really incredible thought leaders
Mm-hmm.
that are changing not only our space, but the world we live in. And I get to be that engine behind it that distributes that out. So that is my why. And that's what excites me every day is working with the quality and level and knowing that our message is making a difference to individuals everywhere.
I love the way you put that, the we. I read someplace one time that if you want to be a billionaire, learn how to serve a billion people.
Hmm.
And that kind of fits that exact same thinking process. This is not about what can I do as the chief brain of this. It's what can I do to build a team of better brains that can get it done better, faster, more efficiently.
Yep.
That's, yeah, there's a very important message there.
And there's some humility that requires. If you're the smartest person in the room every time, guess what? You're not going to surround yourself with some of the best leaders because there is a lot of intelligence out there, right? And so
Hmm.
it's been important for me to be humble and to
Hmm.
recognize other people's success and thought leadership and realize we collectively can come to answers. Whereas
Hmm.
if it's just a me or an I thing, I think people get turned off by that. You
Yeah, well, I
know,
was just going to say you probably won't surround yourself with customers either.
no,
Yeah,
no, because it's
yeah.
all about what you're selling to them or hawking at them and how to get you smarter. And so if that's what you're looking for at the end of the day, it's an empty, empty
Empty. Yeah,
space.
that's a good way to put it. Okay. You've practiced this, so the question is going to be interesting. Now that you've learned what you've learned, if you were to start your business over again today,
Mm.
is there something you would do differently?
Well, I will start with a positive. I'm really glad I didn't create a partnership because that partnership would have changed 10 times by now, and I would have
Yep.
spent all my time doing that. What would I have done differently? It's hard to know that because I feel like I almost had to go through the evolution that I've gone through to be able to get the clarity that I'm getting now. And I'll be real transparent. One of the things that's given me clarity, even on this most recent decision, is we're building a new website. And
Hmm.
in this new website, it has been very clear our number one client are event planners. And what we do is put people on stages to serve, right?
Hmm.
And as I saw the new website and compare it to my old website, I was really trying to like, yeah, but we also do this. And like I said at the beginning, we used to do consulting. I've
Hmm.
dropped consulting. We
Good.
are speakers number one. And so it's over time, I've been able to see these different transitions and make the choices we've needed to make. And it's come often, I mean, I'll be real honest, from these me hitting my back, hitting the wall and saying, I can't do any more. I am doing everything I can. What do I need to change? And so it's really hard to look back on my 4 year ago self and say,
Hmm.
well, why don't you just build the community? Well, I had no one to build the community with, right? Or why didn't you do it this way? Well, I didn't know. I'll give you a quick example, Stephen. I was standing on a stage 3 years ago here in Washington, and there were about 100 advisors in the room. And it just hit me at the end of that. People had come up to me and said, this was great. I need so many more people to hear this. And I thought, well, why don't we democratize it? Why don't we just package it and sell it as a program, and then people anywhere in the world can listen to it? Well, guess what? That's where it started our education platform, and it failed miserably.
Yeah.
We were doing 2 webinars a month, which, by the
Mm.
way, my financial person said you're losing several $100s on every webinar you produce
Good
because
to
we weren't
know.
getting the demand. But it
Hmm.
took me 3 years to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so that to me is sometimes you have to try something, and what you think might be a light bulb idea wasn't quite what it was. Well, guess what? This year we switched to a podcast format, which was free versus paid for. I had done podcasting for 5 years. I love the format, and
Yeah.
it's digestible for people.
Yes.
And so just that small switch, while we've kind of lessened the education side, we've really increased the podcast side. And even though that they're similar, that little nuance difference has made all the difference for us. And
Very
so
good.
that's part of this. Now, I will not lie. Podcast wasn't a success overnight. It still takes that effort, that continual day. You've got to put in the
Hmm.
reps every single day and keep that going. Very few, I think often we see these things that just blow up, right? Like
Hmm.
influencers or a person or something. And it really goes back to those, the Malcolm Gladwell, the tipping point.
Yeah.
A lot of it's luck.
10,000 outliers and
10,000 reps.
10,000 hours.
And you don't know how many hours someone put into that till they
Yeah.
got to that tipping point. And you
Yeah.
may or may not ever get there. There's no like, oh, this is the path to do it by. And so I think there's a lot of wisdom in going through those evolutions and
The
growing
overnight
into who
success,
you are.
the
Yeah.
overnight success that took 20 years.
Yes. Well, and any overnight success, aka lottery winner type,
Yeah.
guess what? Those fizzle out really fast too.
Yeah. Right.
So
Right.
those sustainable ones are the ones that you're sweating and working every day for, and then
Right.
one day it takes off.
Fantastic. This has been a lot of fun. We've covered a lot of really good topics here. I
Good.
love it. I love these stories. Let's start wrapping up though with a few rapid fire questions. So let's have a little bit, let's play with some questions here. What would you say is the key to success for you at this stage?
Good question. The key to success for me is doing what I love and loving what I do. And if I
Good.
don't love it, I can't do it. There's no fake in me at
Hmm.
all.
Hmm.
If I hate it, you will know it. And so I've got to love what I'm doing, and I do.
Fantastic. Fantastic. If you and I were having coffee in the corner coffee shop out in the strip mall over there, and somebody walked in talking about the business that they were just starting up, what's one piece of advice you'd give them?
Oh, my first place I landed was my small business associate or administration office that was at my local university. So I'll give you a
Hmm.
quick example. We're in the Northern Virginia area. It was George Mason,
Yeah.
and their small
Hmm.
business development has helped me so many times over the years of knowing how do you make an LLC? How do you
Hmm.
get registered? What do you need to do? How do you
Good.
start? What's your marketing? So that's what I would say. Go to your local SBA chapter and get help. It could be your Chamber of Commerce or
Hmm.
a Rotary type club, but start getting help and coaching from the very beginning. Don't do it
Good.
on your own.
Don't do it alone. Yeah. Good. 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 What's one book you're reading now or have read recently that's had impact on how you run your business?
I'll show it to you. It's the referable speaker. For me, this
Fantastic.
book has been really vital, and I've even
Hmm.
taught it in a mastermind group with my
Hmm.
speakers because
Hmm.
anybody that's interested in being a speaker, this teaches not only how to get started, but to how to get that flywheel effect going.
Great. 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 You've had a great journey. You're
Yeah.
having a lot of fun. What would you say in the business you're most proud of at this point?
The team I've built. I've
Hmm.
really, I stand in awe and humility, honestly, of some of the amazing thought leadership
Mm-hmm.
that has come and has agreed to that same blue ocean mentality. There's
Mm-hmm.
quite a few people in my group that, quite frankly, don't need me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but they want to be a part of something bigger than them too. And I think
Part of
as
the
we
team.
band together,
Yeah.
it has really been humbling to see and fun to see this really incredible team come together.
Together, everyone achieves more.
Yes. Amen.
Flipping the question around, if you had a magic wand and you could fix something in the business today, what would it be?
Oh, managing people. Much as I love people, I am learning I am not a good manager. And I get these, again, I'm a visionary. And so I throw out these ideas and I'm like, run, run, run. I think one of the things I learned quickly is because I'm so visionary on these things, it's hard for people to follow because I give them
Mhm.
whiplash. Like if I'm driving the car, we're all over the road chasing the new idea. And about a year and a half ago, I brought on a chief compliance officer, is what she started as. She kind of became my Swiss Army knife, as I call her, to be able to handle that and has added a lot of stability. She's put
Good,
processes in place and
good,
structure. And so now when we do make these changes, we may still take a little detour that everyone's turning on, but they're not getting whiplash like they were getting before.
cool, cool, cool. How can people who want to connect with you find you? What's the easiest way for them to get in touch with you?
LinkedIn is the place to find me. And so you can find me, it's Mary Bell Carlson or Financial Behavior Keynote Group, either channel.
Perfect. Last question, what's most inspiring to you today?
It really goes back to working with the people I work with, but also creating the business that I've wanted since being very young, being able to
Mm,
raise my family and being
mm-hmm,
there for my kids. I have a daughter
mm-hmm,
with type 1 diabetes,
mm,
uh, and she's only 8 years old. And we've been through that journey for the last 4 years, and it's required a lot of my time. And so
mm-hmm.
being able to be the nurse, the caretaker, the provider, not only for her, but for my other children as well, has been
Yeah.
really important. And so this business has allowed me to do that
Mm-hmm.
while also working with some really incredible people.
And producing an income.
Yeah, yeah, that too. We got to have a hobby loss category.
Awesome. This has been fun. This has been a great conversation. Kind
Thank
of
you.
would have liked to kept going, but I want to respect your time too. So the stories you've shared have been absolutely awesome. So
Thank
to
you.
the audience, everyone watching, save the show, come back, watch it again. Mary's given us some really good insights and tips to sit down and think about. You start up a couple of businesses, you learn a few things along the way. There's been some really good experiences there. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. You'll get notifications every time a new conversation like this drops. And thank you to everyone who's joined us today. And a special thanks to Mary for being with us, being vulnerable, and sharing the stories that she's shared. Thank you.
Thank you.